Shooters, you are now in your prep time. Your prep time has ended. With the magazine of 15 rounds making the additional one weapon. Is the line ready? The line is ready. Shooters firing 5 rounds in a time limit of 60 seconds. Stand by. Contact. Stand by. Contact.
Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, ladies and gentlemen. This is Pit Talk, Pulling Pits and Opinions with your host, Gunny G. Follow, like, subscribe everywhere you get your podcasts and on all social media platforms to let me know how I'm doing. We got a special guest by the name of, well, I'm going to go with Staff Sergeant Thigpen, but he's going to introduce himself in a different way. Say hello to the listeners.
What's going on, everybody? It's that ordinary podcaster with the extraordinary thoughts that tells you to stop being great and be extraordinary. I'm Demetrius Thigpen, also known as Meech Speaks, live on the Pit Talk podcast. What's going on, man?
Hey, man, I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule. I love the intro. I like how you got it in there. That's dope.
Yeah.
Thanks for taking the time to chop it up with me. I know, where are you at? Where are you located at right now?
Right now, I'm on MCRD.
Oh, are you?
Yeah, I'm here for absolutely not. Absolutely. I don't know why everyone always assumes because I'm on MCRD that's why I would be here. No, I'm here to become a recruiter. Like,
oh,
God, no.
Boy.
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah.
That's awesome. You're going to get some more platform experience. Oh, boy, you're about to blow up. Hey, don't forget about us small penny pinchers down here, dog.
Everybody keeps saying that, but to be honest with you, I'm just hoping to make mission. That's it. I'm just hoping to make mission and create enough bonds and be an ambassador and influencer in my community.
Look at you. My goodness. That's a good idea. You know what? You have inspired me to not do recruiting. That's nice.
I hear that. I hear, trust me, this is not, from what people have told me and what I've seen, like, this is not like something that you just do. You know what I mean? Like, it's a lot that goes into this that a lot of people, it's just like, oh, man, like, I feel bad for you when you get out there.
Absolutely. Actually, that's, you know what? You made some soul searching. That's a good idea. Because having you on, you're a content creator, you're a podcaster, you're just a in general creator, man. That's a good idea. Get platform experience, you get to network, do all that good stuff. That sounds like that's a good idea. I see what you're doing. I see what you're doing. I see what
trying to do the best. That's
it. Let's get right into it, dog. I know you got a lot to say, a lot to offer to the listeners. Can you give a little bit of background? Where you're from? How long you've been in? What you're doing now?
Oh, 100%. So for those who don't know, man, like Staff Sergeant Thigpen, born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, raised in a single parent household. Detroit, Michigan, born on the east side, most dangerous neighborhood, 48205, was supposed to be a product of the environment, supposed to be a statistic, found a way to make it out of it. I promise you, like, for those who have ever seen Detroit and they've seen like 8 Mile, the movie, we are not rap battling over there. You know what I mean? Like, that is not, I promise you, that's not what's happening. And the fact that I was able to make it out of that environment to make it into who I am today is just, nothing short of a miracle. But I've been in the Marine Corps for almost 13 years, going on 14 now. But and once again, a podcaster, content creator, and just all around person.
That's what's up, man. Hey, so can you share that with the listeners where you've been at in terms of your Marine Corps career?
Oh, I've gotten a chance to do stateside or overseas, or just all of the above.
Just all of the above.
Stateside, I've gotten a chance to be in California, North Carolina, Virginia, South Carolina, Texas, Maine, country-wise, Ireland. What's that place called? It's not Transylvania. It's something. It's something Vania. Afghanistan, Italy. I was about to say Italia. Italy. But those are a couple of places.
Hell yeah, man! I see. Been across the world. Married, kids, anything?
I have kids. Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
All right. Nice. Man, I again appreciate taking the time. Let's get right into it, man. Well, the reason why I got you on, I obviously want to chop it up, get to know you a little bit better, peel that onion back. But also, you have a lot to provide the listeners and service members in general in terms of mental toughness and resilience, right? Where you come from, your background, your culture, different types of, adversities, right? You're pretty transparent in terms of your life. Can you, I guess, give the listeners how to develop mental toughness? Just get right into it. Give me one thing.
If I could say develop mental toughness, I would always say tough realistic training. 100%. Like, you got to put yourself in a situation that's always going to be uncomfortable for you to be able to develop the catalyst, or what's that word when it's on your hands?
Callus.
Not callus. That's it. I don't know why I keep saying callus. A catalyst, but you need to develop like that emotional callus to be able to withstand some of the shit that you're going to go through. I feel like a lot of times people want to come into a situation, but they never work themselves up to that situation, or the moment they encounter something hard, they immediately will retreat back to their comfort zone where it's safe, where it's soft, where they're okay, where they're applauded, and wonder why they're never making it to the next level or making it to see the next version of themselves.
That's good. I know that, you're a MAIT, right? Red Tab. And that's pretty realistic in terms of building physical resilience, right? But how does that help, your mental toughness every day?
To be honest with you, I think the physical activities are the things that help my mental the most. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, like, can I read a book? 100%. Can I listen to a podcast? 100%. But when you really talk about like mental fortitude, the first thing that will break on you is the mind. I've seen it on time and time again. It's never the body. You know what I mean? Like, it's never, oh, I can't keep going. Nah, you can. You just don't want to. You know what I mean? I see it on the run. You've seen it before. It's not necessarily the Marine's body or the person's body that actually gives up first. The body rarely gives up first. That conversation happened in the mind way before we ever sat back and said, like, hey, you need to help. I need my legs messed up or my shoulders messed up. They were already thinking to themselves that they couldn't do it. And they were already looking for an opportunity not to be able to do it. And when they finally found that opportunity that they can finally get out of the situation, they immediately took it. Me, unfortunately, or fortunately, however you want to spin it, have had the privilege to be put in a situation where I could never back out. I always had to move forward. And by moving forward, it trained me to be able to say, like, regardless of the situation, you're not going to give up. Regardless of the situation, you're going to have to continue to keep moving forward. Yes, it's hard, 100%. Do you want to quit? You really do. But you don't have that luxury.
That's deep, man. So you hit it right. You hit the nail right on the top, right? Yeah, I don't know how that saying goes, but I'm sure you know what I'm talking about.
Put the nail on the head.
Yeah, there it is. There it is. Look, man, there's growth mindset, right? Not to insult your intelligence, growth mindset. You're always moving the flagpole forward so that you're never stagnant, right? You're never staying still. In terms of toughness and resilience, you talk about the realistic training. What is something that they can do, move the flagpole in terms of mental toughness? Hey, this is it. I know that's realistic training, but give me steps to get there.
Okay, so when we talk about like growth mindset versus fixed mindset, like fixed mindset is that mentality that no matter what you do, you're always going to be this situation. A good example is because I was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, this is exactly where I'm going to be, and this is where I'm going to always be. Because I'm a shitbag, this is how everybody's going to see me, and no matter what I do, I'm always going to, be a shitbag. When you talk about the growth mindset, to be completely honest with you, it's really just step out of your comfort zone. You know what I mean? You want to grow, then you need to go where you can grow. You can only grow as big as the tank that you in. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you want steps to increase your mental resiliency, then you got to do things that pushes you outside of your element every single time. You got to go into situations where you feel like, dang, man, like I'm a little nervous. No, you got to get out there. And when you do that, and I'm not saying do something extreme at first because that would be ridiculous, but do small things. And that's the biggest thing right there. Like a anthill will one day become a mountain. Do small things that will build you up to the major things, and, I always lean towards the physical aspect of it, but that's also in a social environment. That's also in a mental environment. If you're afraid to talk to people, then you need to go out to places where you can force yourself to be socialized. If you're afraid to get in front of a platoon, then you need to put yourself in those positions. I cannot stress it enough. It's always putting yourself in a position where you're not used to being in. And when you get into a position that you're not used to being in, enough times you will develop that moment of, I'm used to being here at this point. Like, I'm comfortable being in this position. Get comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I feel like that's a conundrum in itself, because people will say, well, if I'm comfortable being uncomfortable, I won't like it. But what it means is that you need to be in a space where you're not in the black every time that you're in an uncomfortable situation.
Yeah, that's good. Well, you hit my next question pretty self belief. It's the battle of the mind, right? You talked about, you said it earlier, your body really doesn't go first. It's the mind that goes first, right? And having self belief, picking yourself up. Hey, it's okay. It's uncomfortable. It's okay. It sucks. It's okay. Figure it out. It's okay. We're going to figure it out. So you talk about social influences. How does that play a factor? Look, we're in the service, right? You're in the service. I'm in the service. We're both in the Marines. How does that affect us daily in terms of self-belief, social influences, right? We have to bridge a gap. We don't know what gap, but can you provide some insight there?
When we talk about social influences and we talk about self-belief, like, first things first, like, you got to believe that when I think of self-belief, you got to believe in yourself before anybody else does. In fact, you got to believe in yourself more than anyone else will, because how are you going to sit there and expect somebody to believe in you when you don't even believe in yourself? Like, you want me to put a down payment on something that you want me to invest in something that you're not even willing to put a down payment on. You know what I mean? You want me to taste the food, but you don't even taste it. You want me to buy it, but you wouldn't buy it. That's crazy. No matter what the situation is, I will always believe in myself. No matter how bad it gets, I bet you that I'm going to bet my bottom dollar on me. I always bet on me, and it comes from a state of always having to believe in myself. And one thing that a lot of people do not realize, despite what other people may believe about them, despite what other people may say about them, you can do exactly what you want. You know what I mean? Like, you're usually 100% right. If you say that you can't do it, then guess what? You're 100% right. You can't do it. If you say that you can do it, then guess what? You're 100% right. You probably can do it, but you have to believe in it. And I cannot stress that, like, a lot of people get mad and say, I just wish people would believe in me. Why you don't believe in yourself? Even on my worst days, I will sit there and say, like, you still the shit. You know what I mean? Yeah. Like, even on the days where I feel like I want to give up, I'll look somebody dead in their face and say, I'm still better than you. I'm just not at my standard. I'm just not at my standard right now. But I know for a fact I'm way above you, though. I'm still way above you.
That's good.
I'll never be beneath anything, even on my worst day, And I say that not from my high horse. I say that because this is your captain flying in on Experience Airlines. I remember when I didn't believe in myself. You like that? You like that one? Don't be going using that.
I'm about to put it on a shirt.
I said that one through my show.
I'm going to put that on my shirt. Dude, I
said that way too many times.
Yeah, you got to put on a shirt, dog. I also like you want me to put a down payment on something you ain't even going to buy. That's deep.
You want me to invest in something that you ain't willing to put a down payment on. And that means so much to me, because I remember when I didn't believe in myself. I remember when I allowed my environment to dictate how I believe in myself. You know what I mean? Like, I remember when I allowed my environment to determine the price of me. You know what I mean? Like, tell me what my value is. And the problem is that when you allow somebody else to tell you how valuable you are, then that's what you will always be.
Yeah.
And when you allow somebody to set a standard for you or create this baseline for you, then that baseline will be based off of somebody else's perspective of you, and not the perspective of, not the perspective of yourself, and that's a kind of shitty situation, because now it's like they're telling you who you are versus you telling them who you are.
Yeah.
And I've been in that situation before. I remember when people used to think that I was shit. I remember when people thought that I was a shitbag. And for a moment, I thought I was a shitbag too, And then one day I had to tell myself, like, yo, like, you need to get your shit together, dude. There's way too many people in this room right now that you're better than, but you act like you're the worst person in here. That's ridiculous. And when I decided to get my shit together, I never looked back.
That's crazy, dog. Look, man, I know that you said staffs aren't. I get it. You got it. Managing stress, pressure can enhance your mental toughness. And every day for us, and I can only speak on the Marine Corps. We can only speak on the Marine Corps because that's who we are, right? But every day we have stress. Every day we have pressures to do this, to do that. And then we still got to lead and we still got to influence. We still got to teach. Give me something like, man, I needed one tool like, hey, manage stress this way. This is what works for me. Even though we can't all get that, realistic training all the time, give me something for the day.
If I can give you something right now for the day, especially for the military service member, I would say take that chow. Take your chow break. It may be something minute to a lot of people, and I know a lot of people are probably hearing that like, what? No, take your chow. Do not work through chow. Do not go and do some random task or through chow. Whatever you do to dedicate that hour and 30 minutes, that hour, those 2 hours, dedicate it to yourself. I remember being in the fleet and working through chow, not realizing how precious it is to have 2 hours or an hour and 30 minutes to be able to sit with my own thoughts. I took that for granted. You know what I mean? And then when I came up to when I started working at the Mace, we didn't do that. We didn't work through, we never had a 2 hour chow. Like we got students on deck. Students probably going to be back in an hour. We got to prep, so you're always on the go.
Yeah. So
when I got a chance to finally sit back here at like BRC and they giving us time for chow, I'm realizing like, damn, I really did take that for granted, and I say that because I don't know how many of us do that. Wow. I don't know how many of us actually will sit there and work through chow. I don't know how many of us will sit there and go do some random ass task. Or I will be the first one to tell you, how about you sit in your car and recollect your thoughts? How about you decompress from the first 4 hours of the day that probably were shit? How about you prepare for the next 4 hours of the day that are possibly going to be even worse? You know what I mean? I would say take your chow and actually utilize it for what it's for, If you're going to eat in your car, then eat in your car. If you're going to go to the gym, then go to the gym. If you are going to, you see what I'm saying? Do something for you. And I feel like in an organization, let me rephrase that, where we are around everybody as a collective that has a mindset that we need to take care of the Marines, you have to remember that you're one of the fucking Marines too. You know what I mean? So how are you taking care of the Marines if you're not even taking care of yourself? And then you're going to sit there and say that I set the example. What example are we setting? How to fucking self-destruct? you come on now. Like know it just like I do.
Yeah, you're right.
Like how many of our top performers, how many of our mentors, how many of the best Marine within the shop, you know what I mean? He's there for everybody else, but he's never there for himself, and he's expecting somebody else to be there for himself. And it goes back to what you said in the very beginning when we talked about self-belief. You know what I mean? Self-belief, self-care, anything has to start with you first, and then you can trickle that shit to somebody else.
Yeah, that's good.
Then you can give it to somebody else.
Wow.
But you can't give nothing if you don't have anything to give. So if I had to give one simple thing that could help you manage your stress, I would say take your chow.
Wow. I would say a moment of silence, but we're in a time crunch here. You hit me. My goodness. I got little chicken bumps. You know what I'm talking about? God dang, dude. Wow. Because you're speaking to me. If you were on a podium in a pulpit, boy, I'd be in a new religion right now, dog. I'm telling you, because you spoke to me directly. Because I give and give and give and give, and then I go home and give and give and give, and expect somebody else to give to me, but I haven't even gave to myself yet. I didn't even take, even if I take 5, 10, 15 minutes on the way there to take a deep breath, right? Decompress, get your thoughts together, because you're about to go into another tasker of being married, another tasker of being a father, another tasker of being an uncle, whatever it is that you're doing at child, another tasker of going to the gym. You got to man, that's deep.
You're literally about to take one hat off and put another one on. Yep. You know what I mean? And I cannot stress this enough that we do it so, God, I wish I had that word in my head, but we do it so seamless that we don't realize that we may need to take a step back. Like when I get home, I'm sitting in the car for about 30 minutes. I probably got, you know what I mean? Kids may see me and everything like that. I need to decompress. Whatever I had dealt with at work, I got to leave that there before I walk into the house. When I go on chow, I may not eat anywhere. I may just sit in the car, turn on some music, and just sit with myself. You know, because very seldom are we actually sitting. We never really sit with ourselves. We'll drink with ourselves. We'll smoke with ourselves. We'll sit alone and complain to ourselves, but we'll never really sit with ourselves and talk about what's going on with us in a healthy manner. When we do talk about it, we complain about it. We put ourselves down. I can't tell you how many times I will sit with my thoughts and decompress and dissect what's going on in my head every 9 times out of 10, especially if I need it.
Yeah.
You know, because if I don't, it's like you gotta at some point you gotta relieve the pressure cooker. You know what I mean? Like, you gotta relieve that pressure on that valve, because it's like the pressure builds up every single day, and you probably seen it just like I have, where it wasn't actually a big issue that caused the Marine to blow up on them. And you probably have done it, because I know I've done it, you know, and if you haven't, great on you. But I know for a fact I have done this. Like, I'm like, God, sometimes I could be like Godzilla in fucking Tokyo, you know, accidentally blowing up on a junior Marine over a minor. I'm talking about a minute mistake, showing up late, messing up a car, messing up a service request. You know what I mean? Didn't give a proper greeting. Blink wrong, and I took it as an attitude, not realizing, you peel back the layers, I've been dealing with at least 2 months worth of bullshit that finally just set off. Now I'm blasting him. You know what I mean? And I get applauded for this. And everybody's like, hell yeah, Thigpen, be that bulldog. And I'm like, what? Like, y'all don't realize I done blew up over nothing? Over some issues that I could have addressed a long time ago. But the problem is that we never address those type of things. We just treat everything like it's a task here, and we're just so happy that it's over with so we can move on to the next task. Ooh. That's it. We never debrief it.
That's good.
Never debrief it. There's never an after action for what we've done. It's always just, all right, bet, let's continue to keep moving forward.
Task done, move on to the next one.
We never do after.
Wow.
That's it. Good. But we know for a fact that after actions are a real thing. We know for a fact that that's a real thing. Yeah. What happened? What can we do to make it better? Yeah. You know what I mean? So why don't we do that with ourselves? We'll do it on a field op that went horrible. We'll do that. We'll do that on something, on anything else. You know, so why not do that on ourselves? Wow. Take a step back. How was your day? What could have been better? What could have been worse? How could I make the next day better? So that way I don't make the exact same mistake again.
Man, oh man. I'm just going to say, this has been great so far. The listener, if you're listening, man, I hope you're tuning in, but we got Crazy Talk with Meech Speaks, Staff Sergeant Thigpen, AKA whatever. Talking Crazy, right? Podcast, right?
Talking Crazy podcast.
Everywhere you get your podcast, get it, follow, like, subscribe. Hey, thank you for taking the time. I appreciate it. So far, so good, man. You're speaking to the masses. I'm sitting taking notes, digital notes too, right? In fact, tell me something. You come from Detroit. I was reading the other day. Detroit, it's like 70% unoccupied land. What's it? 60 or 70% unoccupied land. It's just there. Empty.
Are they just basing it off of like the abandoned houses and everything like that?
Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. That's crazy, dog. Isn't that crazy? And then to think that's where you came from.
No, it's 100. It's not even crazy to even think about it because I've seen it. You know, I've actually been home. I want to say not this year, but last year I was in Detroit, for Thanksgiving. And I go home on the east side to see where my old house is because my family's already moved. That entire street is vacant houses. Wow. So imagine like the entire street of vacant houses. Everybody off that street has moved. You see what I'm saying? Houses boarded up. I think there's only one house that is actually occupied, but his neighbors, there's nobody there.
Pretty quiet.
Mm-hmm. Pretty quiet, or it's a lot can happen over there.
Yeah, boarded houses. You already know what that means. Mm-hmm. That's crazy, man. Oh man, to think that for you, just for you and your experience, for everybody else listening to it, you come from that, and then you bring it to now as a leader. Right, because you're expected to be a leader. You're not expected to be GP doing the line stuff. You're expected to supervise the execution of right? How do those past experiences help you on a day-to-day?
From going from Detroit, Michigan to being a leader, or going from a follower to being a leader?
Hit it all. That's another good point too.
Detroit, Michigan, almost going from Detroit, Michigan into the military, it was a double-edged sword. You know, I would say that it took me a lot longer than everybody else to get inoculated to the to the military, to the mindset that everything that the Marine Corps brought. And the reason why is like it wasn't that I wasn't physically fit. I was definitely physically fit. It wasn't that I wasn't mentally tough. I was because I spent the last 18 years of my life surviving.
Yeah.
But the problem is that when you spend when you spend 18 years stuck in a survival state, it's almost like you want me to do what you say. You see what I'm saying? It kind of feel like y'all punking me. You know what I mean? Like it kind of feel like you're trying to punk me.
Yeah.
You know, and it took a lot to adjust to being in the Marine Corps. That was my Achilles heel, was the fact that I had spent 18 years in survival mode. And not a lot of people that come from metropolitan cities like that, it takes them a lot longer to adjust, because it's like, I've had to adapt to a certain lifestyle and a certain way of living for a long period of time. And now you want me to essentially do what you want me to do what you say. You know, it's not that I'm rebellious, but at the same time, the way that you delivered, how you're talking to me is already setting off like something deep inside me that doesn't sit right.
Yeah.
And you want me to overwrite that and just say, "I, sir, I, corporal, I, sergeant," especially when I know that I'm probably, if me and you like took off our blouses and went somewhere, like this wouldn't play out the way that you think it would, you know. And I'm not saying it I'm just speaking it from a perspective of somebody that was born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, that had to survive, you know. And it took me to have to tell myself that if you don't get your shit together now, you're going to end up back in Detroit, Michigan, because they will kick you out. They will kick you out, then try to force you to adjust. They are not going to play that game with you. And I don't know who need to hear that, but until you decide to get your shit together, and you got to tell yourself to get your shit together, they will get you out of here. You see what I'm saying? You will blow this, and you will find yourself back in the situation. You think that your situation is not as bad because you're not in it no more, so you're romanticizing it. But you left for a reason, and you need to remember that reason. And that was just something that I had to tell myself. But when you talk about like the follower from the leader, you know, that's always just one, you know, they work in tandem with each other, because I'm a leader today and I'm a follower tomorrow. Or I'm a leader in an hour and I'm about to be a follower in the next 30 minutes. It's just depending on who it really depends. You know what I mean? Whether that's vertical or horizontal, you know, I don't know. The role may switch immediately.
Yeah.
But I had to learn to allow it to switch immediately. I think a lot of people believe that you're only a follower when the person outranks you. No, you could be a follower and that person has more experience. The moment that you're learning from somebody, you're in a state of follower. You're a student. You know what I mean? And I could be a follower when I'm talking to a junior Marine. I could be a student when I'm talking to a junior Marine. I'm a 1341 HE mechanic. I know nothing about mechanics. I suck at that job. But my junior Marines were mechanics in the real world. So when they were talking to me about the piece of gear, it's not me being a sergeant that's driving the conversation. No, tell me what the fuck is going on so I can understand it too, because I got to go brief this. You know what I mean? I got to go brief that. And if I can't articulate it the way that you do, then you got to come with me. So explain it to me.
Yeah.
So explain it to me. But a lot of people will let their ego and what they wear on their collar to stop them from learning. But in the black belt syllabus, we're an eternal student. You know what I mean? You're constantly in a state of learning. But you let the position that you hold, the billet that you wear, or the rank on your collar stop you from gaining some knowledge from somebody who's had years of experience. But you don't see the years of experience because he a lance corporal. That's crazy. That's crazy. You know, and it's not that I'm standing at parade rest for the guy, but I'm giving him the respect that he deserves, and I'm learning from him.
That's good, man. I'm learning from you right now. You got a lot to offer. I know. I seen your post the other day, a couple weeks back. Got to meet Sergeant Major. That's dope, man.
Yeah, that was a very interesting time. That day.
Yeah. How was that
definitely very
conversation?
interesting. So how it played out, I was at Staff Academy actually. So I was in Staff. So it's an old picture that I resurfaced. I got a chance to meet him back in September. Sergeant Major was making his rounds and he was coming to everywhere, meeting everybody. And I'm pretty sure you've been to one of these before where, they like, all right, make sure you have your questions for Sergeant Major. And I'm just like, I don't have any questions for Sergeant Major. So whatever he's got to say, I might have to be here anyway, So I'm sitting there in the class and he comes out and he's actually tall. I did not realize that he was this tall. Yeah. And he comes out, he looks around and stuff, he commands the room, he addresses everybody, and then he looks over and he sees me. And I'm looking around because I'm like, who could he be? Who could he be looking at? And yeah, I'm like, I'm trying not to make eye contact with him. And he's like, and he looks at me and then he points and says, I know you. And I'm like, he's like, I like your videos. And I said, oh my God, did the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps just recognize me? And it meant a lot because of the simple fact that he didn't necessarily have to do that in front of everybody. Yeah. I think a lot of times, you see a lot of leadership that will pull you off. They will blast you in public. They will punish you in public, but then pull you off the side when they want to praise you. And for him to give me my accolade in front of everybody, that said a lot about him. And it meant a lot, because he didn't have to tell me that he liked my videos. He didn't even have to tell me that he saw them. And I was just thinking to myself, even then, I'm still in kind of disbelief because I'm like, I probably just popped up on his explore page. You know what I mean? The algorithm probably sent me his way, and I have my book. And I was like, if I'm going to do anything, though, I'm going to get the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps my book. I had already pre-planned this. That was something that I had already planned when I heard that we were going to meet him. I just was like, I'm going to just give the Sergeant Major of the Marine Corps my book. And I get a chance to see him and they're like, hey, Thigpen, he's standing over there. And I run over there. Boom, 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 boom. I'm running over there. And I get at parade rest. And as I'm at parade rest, he comes in, he says, Staff Sergeant Thigpen. And he pulls me in and he says, I like your videos. and this is how I knew he had watched them, because he was like this, you're a little abrasive. A lot of people may not like that, but I know you're coming from a good space. And I was like, oh, he watches them. Oh, I know he watches them now, because I get that all the time. You know what I mean? People always would say, your tone, your demeanor, it seems like you're attacking, but you're actually informing, and for him to sit there and have that conversation with me, it really meant a lot. And it let me know that what I was doing was actually doing what it was supposed to do, or it's making the impact that it needs to make, and people are starting to see it, because there was a moment when I didn't believe nobody was actually watching anything I did, I didn't think that, I thought that I was just kicking that shit, and then people just was, I would get a couple of likes here and there, a couple of oh man, this is so cool, hoorah, and I'm like, yeah, but I'm just unloading a whole emotional clip and uploading it on social media.
Smart.
That's it.
This is how my day went.
That, to be honest with you, yes. When people sit back and they're like, when they hear me say I don't know who needs to hear this, I know who needs to hear it. Me. I'm talking to myself, guys. Really dissect what he's saying. He's probably talking about somebody. They're like, oh, that sounds personal. I said, yeah, because it's about me. It's me. I'm the guy that needs to hear this right now. And I just don't know who else needs to hear it.
That's good, man. Hey, you mentioned the book. I know that you I seen that post too. I'm like, tell the listeners about that book, man.
So my book, An Extraordinary Thought from an Ordinary Mind, it can be available on Kindle and it's available on Amazon as well. It was my first book. I wrote it during the pandemic. I released it during the pandemic as well. And, it meant a lot to me for the simple fact that I was a sergeant when I wrote it. First and foremost, I was enlisted when I wrote it, and I never seen a book written by somebody that was enlisted. But at the exact same time, it took me 2 months to write the book, and I pushed it out. And the reason why I pushed it out and I wanted to give a book to somebody or put the book out there is because I got tired of seeing books on the Commandant's reading list that I couldn't relate to. I couldn't relate to anything that was going on. I'm pretty sure I could pull lessons out of it. There was a couple of things that I could pull lessons out of. Ender's Game, Gates of Fire, Message to Garcia. I'm tracking. But I needed some shit that could really hit home.
Yeah.
I really, you know what I mean? Like at some point, I need somebody to talk to me about the stuff that I'm dealing with in my real life. not something that I gotta translate and then apply to my life. I need something that I need something a little bit more mom and pop.
Yeah,
you know,
that's good.
And I wrote that book for anybody that was ever going through those type of things, you know. And I felt like a lot of people were probably going through similar situations, and a lot of the situations that I was going through was pretty much, you know, relatable to a lot of people.
That's
you
good.
know, I talked about separation, I talked about anxiety, I talked about, you know, having a drinking problem and dealing with depression and being a good Marine that couldn't get promoted and is about to get kicked out. You know, like I'm talking about these things.
Yeah, that's crazy, man. I still haven't got around to purchase it, but I will. I promise. You got my word there.
If you purchase it while I'm out here, I'll come down and sign it.
Yeah, I'm not even anywhere near you, dog.
I thought you were in California.
Hell no. Everybody keeps asking me, come down. I'm like, come down where? I'm not about to drive 13 hours to come see you. Staff Sergeant, are you high as a kite, dog? It's the beanie. It's the beanie.
Where are you at? When I said that we're in the same time zone, I figured that you were in California.
Man, I would have came and see you, gave you a big old hug, dog. You were wild. I'm in Washington.
Oh. Now everything makes sense. Yeah, I was like this. I was like, we're in the same time zone. Like I can actually come and see you if I would, you know, if you want me to. And you're like, yeah, like if you're about to drive 13 hours, like, okay, sure. Like that. No, I had somebody say that to me one time. Like a lot of people didn't know that I was in Quantico. And this one guy, he was like this, I'll come and say that to your face. And I'm like this, if you're about to drive 2,500 miles just to say that, then by all means, let me know where I need to be at.
Yeah.
Let me know where I need to be. And like a lot of people didn't know that I was in Quantico for a long time.
Look, you got life experience, you got Marine Corps experience. If you had one opportunity to save the 22 right now, this is a deep onion peeler. If you had one thing to say to the 22 right now, what would you tell them?
Your feelings are valid. You know, a lot of people will sit back and they'll tell you, you know, oh, it's going to get better. Oh, you know, it's not that bad, or think of this, think of that. I'm pretty sure you've already thought about all those things. You know what I mean? Like your kids, they probably came through your head, and your spouse probably came through your head, and somebody's probably told you that it's not as bad, and they may be right to themselves, but they ain't right to you. They're not, because what you're dealing with right now, it feels like it's everything to you, and you're 100% right. It is everything to you. But I would be remiss and I would be lying if I told you that you wouldn't be able to get through this, just like you've gotten through the last time. You know what I mean? Like I would be lying if I told you that you wouldn't be able to overcome this. You know what I mean? And if you really peel back the layers and you allow yourself to, and you give yourself that grace that you truly deserve. You know what I mean? Because you're quick to give everybody else fucking grace. You're quick to be that person for everybody else, but I really need you to be that person for yourself. You know, I really need you to be that person that picks yourself up today. I need you to be that one that tells you that, you know, it's going to get better, because to be honest with you, bro, it will get better. It will get better. It may not get better today. It may not get better tomorrow. And to be honest with you, we probably looking at 2 months, 3 months before shit really start turning around. You feel me? But I promise you, you're going to look back on this moment and say, thank God I didn't kill myself.
Man. Hey, 1 second. Let me breathe for a minute. Look, man, the reason I ask you, because, you know, somebody that I not looked up to, but considered a friend a couple weeks back. So may he rest in peace. But every day is a battle, I'll tell you what. And every day that we wake up is a good day. I'm not 6 feet under. You're not 6 feet under. I got to encounter. I got the fellowship with you right here. I got to chop it up, and I got to see and listen to who, you know, Demetrius Thigpen was, man. It ain't talking crazy. It ain't crazy talk. It ain't Meech Speaks. It's Demetrius Thigpen, man. And you have a lot to offer, and you know, anybody that encounters you, anybody that, you know, flows through you, I mean, I would love, if I get a chance, man, to come down to Cali anytime that you're there, while you're there. Where are you trying to RS at? Where are you trying to go to?
I'll be in Arizona. Yeah, once I leave here, I'm going to Phoenix.
Okay. Shoot, that's not even that far. That's not even that far anyways.
Yeah, and then it's such a beautiful thing to be. I'm 6 hours away from California. I'm back on the West Coast. I'm a West Coast person actually. I'm born and raised in Detroit, Michigan, but my soul lives on the West. And every time I come back on the West, I'm recharged. I'm feeling better. I'm doing better. So I'll be here for a long time. I'm gonna be here for a while.
You think? I know it's too early to tell, but 8412.
It's a possibility. That's a possibility. I feel like
I have a feeling. I have a feeling, my man.
I will say this is that being here, I'm really in my element. I'll say that. I'll never know what it's like until I get out there. But one thing that I've heard consistently is that once you get into a good rhythm, then you're good. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. But I'm just honestly in my element. I'm not afraid to speak up there. You give me the tools. You give me the tool and I can use it. Yeah. That's it.
That's good, man. I'm excited for you. I'm excited for your RS that you can be working for. You got a lot to offer, man. Again, I am honored. This is your show. I'm just here asking some questions because I want to know more about you, right? So thank you again for coming on. I really appreciate it.
Grateful for that, man. Thank you for having me.
Absolutely. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Pit Talk, pulling pits and opinions with your host, Gunny G and Demetrius Thigpen. I'm out. 100%. You got one last thing?
Yeah, and just like that, another extraordinary thought left this ordinary mind. I hope you enjoyed this episode half as much as I enjoyed doing it. Don't forget to follow me on Instagram at Meech Speaks. Meech is spelled Meech. Don't forget to follow me on TikTok at, once again, Meech Speaks, Meech. And lastly, if you want to hear more of what I'm talking about, go ahead and follow me on subscribe, and share the Talking Crazy podcast that is found on Apple Podcasts, Spotify Podcasts, and anywhere that a podcast can be available.
Hey, dog. I'll hit you up. Hey, again, thanks for the little tools for the toolbox for me earlier, a couple weeks back. I appreciate that. And
100%.
Ladies and gentlemen, listen to it. It's good. We out.
Pit Talk is a podcast featuring active service members who discuss their thoughts and opinions on various issues surrounding military life, current events, and history. The statements heard here are the opinions of its members and guests. These do not necessarily reflect the views of the Department of Defense and are not endorsed or sponsored in any way. Listener, viewer discretion advised.